High on Life is a game from Squanch Games headed by Justin Roiland, best known for his work on the Rick and Morty series. Now, I absolutely love Rick and Morty, so when I heard Justin was making High on Life, I was beyond hyped for it. Then it released and I never picked it up. That was until Netflix finally put up Rick and Morty's newest season in the UK, so once I got through that I was dying for more of that comedy, and so I went straight to the PS Store and bought the game. Which brings us to this video. In today's video we are going to be making our way through the base game of High on Life to obtain its platinum trophy. Now, just a quick mention. There is so much I would love to show you, and I really do want to show you, but believe me when I say YouTube would absolutely spank me if I did. So for all the Rick and Morty lovers out there who haven't played this game yet, to truly understand and appreciate just how funny and weird this game can be, you need to play it for yourself. But anyway guys, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. We begin the game actually playing a game, the second installment of the Buck Thunder franchise, and we find ourselves fighting through an alien ship with the help of Phil, our divorce attorney, because our wife is apparently getting her back blown out by some big bulky alien dude, and now we have to fight our way through his entire army to stop it. Before we even get to the good part though, our sister interrupts us. Turns out our parents are away on holiday and she needs our help grabbing a few supplies for a party that she's gonna throw. She then does a couple of lines and we then get to choose our character. This is Jimmy, and Jimmy here is about to become a hero. We leave the house with our sister, but literally 5 seconds into stepping outside, bam, we're hit with just a full-blown alien invasion, and this very phallus-shaped alien proceeds to kill a fellow green man and then smoke some old guy. Helmet Head then teleports away and we end up picking up some kind of gun that actually turned out to be an alien species known as Gatlians. And after Hawk 2ing all over us, we can then understand and are able to communicate with him. For now he just tells us to shoot all of the aliens around us, and while doing so we grab a warp crystal from one of the alien ships. We then take it back to our house, and with the power of the microwave we then turn our house into a spaceship and are teleported to an alien city known as Blim City.
Yeah! Welcome to fucking space!
While here, our new gun Kenny tells us that we are going to take down the G3 cartel for what they've done to both our world and his, and tells us to start asking around for a bounty hunter known as Gene. And it didn't take too long to find him, though he's definitely fallen off since Kenny knew of him. We tell Gene that we want to take down the G3 cartel, and after noticing our lovely house he agrees to help us and even gives us his bounty hunter suit, although he had pawned off the license key to a local shopkeeper, and so now we had a constant stream of adverts and malware scams. Luckily he fronted the cash for us to buy the key back, and now we could get down to business. Before we could just go head to head with the leader of the G3 cartel, we first needed to prove ourselves to Gene and to also take down some high ranking members of the cartel using our newly installed Bounty 5000. Yeah, in case the suit didn't make it apparent enough, we are now a bounty hunter and we can use this machine to accept and turn in bounties. Our first bounty was a giant ant called Ninetorg, and thankfully she could be found close by in the slums, and while in there Gene requests that we grab his favourite knife. On our way down we come across an annoying alien kid and we allow our intrusive thoughts to win. It did earn us our very first trophy of the game though. Heading deeper into the slums, we have to fight our way through a number of Ninetorg's henchmen. While doing this, we also learn that Gatlians have something called a trick hole, which is essentially just an alternative shot. Kenny has the glob shot, and using it on an enemy can launch them into the air. Well, keeping them in the air by juggling them with at least 5 shots manages to nab us another trophy. We then find ourselves impersonating a buyer for Gene's knife, and after getting our hands on him, we nab another trophy. This is Knifey, one of the funniest characters in the game, and actually has his own DLC, and his absolute favourite thing to do is stab people, so as his new best friend, we agree to help him stab as many people as we can. Some more shooting and stabbing later, we find ourselves face to face with Ninetorg and our very first boss fight of the game. Although honestly, she was probably anything but difficult and we were able to take her down pretty damn quickly, nabbing us the trophy first bounty down. After taking down Ninetorg, we then head back home to Gene to turn in the bounty and accept our next one. And while here, we granted Knifey's request and stabbed Gene as revenge for selling him off to the Torgs, which nabs us another trophy.
What the fuck? You have to do everything the fucking UI tells you to do.
While back in Blim City, I also made a start on the longest missable trophy on this list, and that is the A Starfish is Born trophy for witnessing a butt-faced alien called Globo's rise to fame. And I'm not being mean when I say that, he literally claps them cheeks every time he speaks. Our first step into helping him achieve his dreams though was simple enough, and all we had to do was buy this drum from the pawn shop because apparently Globo is a master drummer. The rest of this trophy literally just has us returning at multiple points to see how he's doing. So we will catch up with this trophy nearer the end. With that out of the way though, we could move on to our next bounty, and this was a squid by the name of Douglas. After heading through the portal opened by the Bounty 5000, we start on the outskirts of the town, which is literally just surrounded by some massive desert wasteland type of thing. While making our way through this wasteland, we did find the Mac and Cheese brothers, and they are currently working on building a bridge across the massive ravine. Now, throughout the game there are multiple NPCs like this that will have some different lines of dialogue for you. Now, most of the time these are a minute, maybe 2 minutes max, but there's a few, including the Mac and Cheese brothers, that I shit you not had over 10 minutes worth of dialogue just in this one section, and there's literally no need to listen to any of it. It doesn't progress the story in any way, it doesn't help us out in any way, it's literally just there to entertain me, and entertain me it did, although it was realistically a waste of 10 minutes of my life, and I'm never going to get that back.
Our fucking garden, so to speak, metaphorically. This is our fucking garden, and you're walking all over the fucking plants we just, the seeds we just planted, you son of a bitch. You know, we're busy over here. Hey! Oh, I can't believe this. What do we frig?
We end up making it across the ravine while being insulted constantly by the Mac and Cheese brothers, and eventually are let into some western style town by a man who likes to piss himself. We clear out the local G3 initiates causing trouble in the area, and then proceed to another alien city called Dregtown. Now, I will say, so far the environments in this game have been fantastic, especially the cities. There's actually a hell of a lot of detail packed away in most of the locations, and of course numerous NPCs have plenty of dialogue to share with you. While in Dregtown, we decide the easiest way to get to Douglas is to take part in his G3 recruitment course, but first we needed to get gooped up. We end up finding a dodgy dealer who agrees to cover ourselves in shit, but he is such a nice guy, he actually gives us his first dump for free and just asks that we spread the word about his gooping service. After getting slathered up in that brown goodness, we end up taking part in the recruitment course, which just has us killing a bunch of enemies, but eventually we are given the ultimate test of waiting a whole hour. I shit you not, you can actually sit here for a whole real life hour and wait this out, but we have not got time for that. We say fuck that and quickly find an exit. We also end up stumbling across another squid by the name of Dr. Dupey, and apparently Douglas has kidnapped his family and now he's trying to break inside his base to rescue them. We agree to work together to get there, and after killing some more enemies and solving some puzzles, we discover that Dr. Dupey was actually Douglas this whole time, and that we've actually helped him get back home after a pretty long night out on the town. Much like Nine Talk, Douglas wasn't really much of an issue. In fact, the electric floor panels actually did more damage to me than Douglas did. Eventually though, we take Douglas down and get our hands on the Gatlion he was using, nabbing us 2 more trophies for doing so. This new Gatlion is Sweezy, and think of her as essentially a Needler from Halo with the ability to shoot bubbles that can slow down time. Yeah, pretty damn OP. At this point we've done everything we can in Dreg City, so we head back home to turn in our bounty on Douglas and take on the next one. The alien we were after this time was called Kubris, and he was hiding away on a forest-filled planet known as Zephyr, and of course shortly after arriving we had some G3 thrown at us, but thankfully during this fight we managed to pop the eyeball of our 20th grunt, unlocking the I Scream You Scream trophy. Continuing on, we find that this planet is home to the Moplets, these weird teddy bear looking creatures. Like, actually they are pretty damn creepy to be fair, and that Krubis's men had actually been enslaving them to find Fergals that the G3 can then sell and smoke. Now I really did want to help these little guys, even if they are pretty damn creepy, so I proceeded to clear out the local G3 members as well as create some more jobs for the Moplets by having some Moplets fire each other, because that's how creating more jobs works. And because I chose to do this with Sweezy and allowed her to assert her authority, we managed to nab another trophy. Eventually we are also introduced introduced to warp discs, which allow us to essentially teleport structures to us. No idea how it works, it just does. Those discs are also linked to a few other trophies, but we'll get to those later. For now, we get Krubus's coordinates and a blank warp disc, which allows us to teleport him to us, where we eventually get to put him down, as well as getting our hands on another Gatlian, of course nabbing us 2 more trophies. This new Gatlian is Gus, and his trick hole allows us to shoot spinning discs that can both deal a decent amount of damage to enemies as well as allow us to reach previously unreachable locations. After turning in Krubus's bounty, we then get to meet with Magistrate Klug, where he reveals that he has noticed our recent efforts in wiping out the G3 and offers his assistance in taking them down, as well as offering a safe haven for any humans that we come across during our bounties. At this point, we also get our hands on the jetpack for our bounty suit, and that nabs us another trophy. While back in Blim City, I also took the opportunity to find Stan, where he actually gives us a free gallon of alien semen. This item literally provides no benefits, however it is needed for a trophy which involves us carrying Stan's load all the way to the end of the game. So yeah, looking forward to carrying this around. Moving on to our next bounty though was an alien by the name of Dr. Giblets, but the thing is no one actually knows where he is, so with the help of our in-suit AI we get to doing some detective work. While investigating, we learn that Dr. Giblets is actually doing a midnight release of High on Life at a store he owns down in the slums. However, when we get there and do some questioning, we don't really learn anything useful. We do however get a visit from the Men in Blue, who tries to convince us to stop our search, but we say fuck that and continue on anyway. Now, although we wasn't making any progress towards Dr. Giblets, we was making progress towards another trophy. You see, outside the store we find an alien by the name of Dave Glutes, who had been trampled during the rush to get inside of the store. Well, turns out this unlucky fellow had a pair of mag boots on him, and you can bet your ass we took those straight off his feet. And we actually got another trophy for doing so. Getting back home, we end up running into the Men in Blue again. However, they tell us that Klug had informed them that we were on their side, and seeing as we both now have a common enemy, they give us all of their intel on Dr. Giblets. This ends up taking us back to the planet of Zephyr, where we find that Giblets has already had a ton of G3 sent there to wipe out the moplets. Or enslave them again, I'm not actually too sure. They like getting enslaved, but I see a lot of them absolutely get slaughtered. Unfortunately for us though, there was a survivor of this slaughter.
A G3 base warped right through here. Right where I was. And, well, it shot me right in half. I got cut in half.
Fuck, that rips my heart out.
Hey, where you guys go? You promised me you'd stay with me until I die. Hey, thanks for coming back. Oh my god. Oh.
All right, shit. I guess that's it then.
Hey, what the fuck? You left me again. I'm not dead yet, assholes. Oh.
Okay, this time it's gotta be real. Let's just get out of here. It's depressing.
Hey guys, I'm still alive. You need to come back here and stay with me.
Okay, fuck this.
Hey, come.
After dealing with that little dickhead, we continue on, and it was once again time to do some detective work. Now, we still didn't actually find any clues that we could really use in our investigation, but then our in-suit AI decided to tell us that he actually knew where Dr. Giblets was all along. Yeah. Thanks for wasting my fucking time. With that though, we now have his coordinates, so we use another warp disc to teleport him to us, but instead of actually fighting him, he accidentally offs himself, making it the easiest kill so far. And it also nabs us another trophy.
That's Dr. Giblets. That was very anticlimactic, but I'm not complaining.
Jesus Christ, that was the easiest one yet. All right, let me at him.
Now, although the boss fight was incredibly easy, we did now have to hold out against waves and waves of pretty much every enemy we've come across in the game so far, which was probably harder than the boss fight would have been anyway. On the way out though, we do find another Gatlian, however this one has seen much better days, so we take him back to Gene to see if he can fix him up. Our next bounty was the Skendrel Bros, and for them we needed to head once again back to Zephyr, as it seems that they have decided to move in and once again enslave the moplets. But while back in Zephyr, we do end up finding our next Gatlian, which unlocks us another trophy. This is Creature, and Creature has the ability to shoot his kids out at enemies and emptying an entire clip into any amount of enemies, whether they're bosses or not. Absolutely drains their health. Now the next boss fight was actually 3 bosses in one, but once again they didn't prove much of a challenge, mostly thanks to Creature and his attack children. Taking them down though, of course, nabs us another trophy. Before taking on the next bounty, and while back in Blim City, I also managed to get the last part of Globo's questline completed. You see, our arse-faced friend has finally made it to the big leagues, and watching him perform on TV finishes up his questline and unlocks the A Starfish is Born trophy. So, turns out our next mission wasn't actually a bounty. Instead, me and Kenny just took a walk down to Applebee's, where he tells us that he is responsible for the G3 finding out about and destroying the Gatlians' home planet, although he never wanted any harm to come to them. Well, it just so happens that the injured Gatlian we picked up earlier was one of the strongest Gatlians on their planet, called Les Do It, and Les Do It knows the truth about what happened and that he can't risk the other Gatlians finding out. So Kenny decides before Les Do It can get better and tell them the truth, he wants to do it himself, as he feels it would probably sound a little bit better coming out of his mouth. Before he gets a chance to do that though, we see our sister arguing with her alien boyfriend before they then both take off into space, and then G3 just decides they're going to invade Blim City. So with that, we pay our bill at Applebee's, getting a trophy for doing so, and then we proceed to gun down all of the G3 in our way in an attempt to make it back to the house. Unfortunately, the G3 had absolutely overrun Blim City by this point, which left us with no choice but to warp away, and Kenny decides to take us to his home planet of Gatlius to see the destruction that the G3 had caused. And at this point he also decides that now is the perfect time to tell the other Gatlians what really happened to their home. Of course they didn't take this too well, but for now their differences would have to be put aside as we have a world to save. At this point the leader of the G3, Gargantuous, had one more commander left, and that was Nipulon. For this we infiltrated his base by pretending that we were going to smoke some humans, but that got dull pretty quickly, so we decided to shoot up the place instead. Eventually we reached Nipulon's office and find the man himself. This boss fight though was definitely the coolest and weirdest. You see, during the fight we end up getting sent on a massive trip, and seriously things get weird, like being thrown into a world that continuously gets smaller or bigger depending on the direction you go, and we also get a trophy for spending 15 hours inside of a strip club, because apparently that's supposed to be embarrassing, but you know what, I'll proudly show off that trophy. We do though end up growing some extra limbs and using all of our weapons to shoot our way through the enemies towards Nipulon, and eventually we come back around and find ourselves finishing off Nippy. And of course this gets us another trophy.
Holy shit, okay, we're back. I think we're back. That was a lot. Is everyone okay? It looks like we really killed him at least. He's dead.
From one trophy to another, upon heading back home to turn in our bounty, Jean and our sister had managed to fix Les Do It. Well, at least 70% of him anyway, but obtaining our final Gatlian does mean that we'd get another trophy.
Alright, let's do it. We got this.
Let's do it.
At this point, we were now ready to take on Gargantuous, and it turns out that he had actually been hiding out on Earth this whole time. So with that, we head back to Earth, and with the help of Les Do It, we absolutely steamroll through absolutely every enemy he chucked at us. And while doing this, our in-suit AI said his final goodbyes as we were nearing the end of the game, and we get chucked another trophy for saying our farewells. Eventually though, we come face to face with Gargantuous, and honestly, this could have been so much more difficult and a much more prolonged boss fight if it wasn't for the fact that we had Les Do It. Honestly, he made this final mission such a breeze. It was so lovely. Not that the rest of the game was difficult, but this was definitely the easiest portion of the game. Taking down Gargantuous though did get us another trophy.
What now? What now? The bomb didn't work.
Yeah, what's the plan here?
Now, even though Gargantuous was in a very compromising position, he wasn't dead just yet. Now we had the pleasure of sticking one of our Gatlians up his arse and blowing him up from the inside. Now, Kenny is actually the only one to volunteer to do this, but in order to get a missable trophy, I decided to use Les Do It, which nabs us that trophy as well as the last missable story trophy for carrying around Stan's come to completion.
Oh my god, it was a huge sacrifice, but we did it.
After imploding Garmantuous and having shit showering down from above, we do find out that Les Do It actually survived and even has a new colour. This though does actually mark the end of the main game story, and so now with that out of the way, we could turn our attention to the cleanup. First I bought every warp disc and then proceeded to visit each of them, where we managed to unlock another 2 trophies. One was for visiting the movie theatre, and one was for unlocking and visiting every warp base. I then revisited each location on each of the planets in order to collect all 27 playing cards and all 227 lugloxes that can be found scattered throughout the world, often hidden in secret areas or behind puzzle locked doors. Thankfully, using a guide to collect them all didn't actually take too long at all, and within a few hours we unlocked the both playing card to get and luglox genocide trophies. While going through each of the locations again, I also kept my eye out for all of the clues that points us towards Dr. Gurgula's hideout. Well, we end up finding out that Gurgula was hiding out in the safe haven that Glug had set up for the humans, and it turns out that Glug wasn't actually the friendly alien that we thought he was, and he was actually working with Dr. Gurgula, allowing him to take humans from the safe haven to experiment on them. Before we get a chance to do anything though, Gurgula kills Glug and then disappears. Now this blatantly points towards there being some sort of sequel for High on Life, and we actually get a trophy called Sequel Bait for discovering the hideout.
Are you getting weird, uneasy kind of vibes like I am?
At this point, Squanch Games would be doing a disservice to their fans if they didn't do a sequel now. The next trophy I went for was the Mods Please Ban trophy for unlocking every post in the Bounty Hunter forums. Basically just a whole series of challenges that we need to complete, with a decent amount of them linked to killing enemies. Funnily enough, the small few that I was missing were all linked to killing specific enemies. Now it wasn't the hardest thing I've ever done, but getting the enemies that I actually needed to spawn at points did prove to be quite annoying, and even when they did spawn, I'd only get 1, maybe 2 of the enemies I actually needed. Eventually though, we managed to complete all of the challenges, completing the forum posts and unlocking another trophy. Which leads us to our final trophy of the main game, and this one is actually completely RNG. The trophy is the Epic Legendary Prize trophy, which requires us to sit through the entirety of a countdown show. Luckily, and I don't know how because I'm not usually this lucky, but I actually managed to get this TV show to appear first time. Still had to wait nearly 10 minutes for the show to end before I got the trophy, but the important thing was I wasn't sat there for hours trying to get something to appear. Believe me, I've done that plenty of times in other games and I absolutely hate it. Of course, once the countdown ends, we unlock our final trophy of the game, as well as getting our hands on that platinum trophy.
Hey there, human fans. I'm Humandor the Human, and today we're watching another ultra-scary human flick, straight from the freshly discovered planet Earth. This one's called Vampire Hookers.
So with High on Life now platinumed, what did I think of the base game? I absolutely loved it. I'm a massive fan of Rick and Morty anyway, so the comedy was very familiar and honestly I couldn't get enough of it. It's just a shame that so much of it really can't be shown on YouTube, purely down to the amount of swearing there is and graphical things and drug related things and sex related things there is. There's so much of it I wish I could show you, but I can't. But just know the comedy and the writing in this game is absolutely fantastic. Something else which I really loved comedic wise, and I actually touched on it earlier, was just the amount of random alien NPCs that have 5, even 10 plus minutes of just random dialogue. The Mac and Cheese Brothers being the best example. Most of it realistically is just nonsense, but it's funny nonsense. I rarely say this, but I actually didn't mind the fact that I had wasted 10 minutes of my life listening to some yellow people complain about how to traverse a massive ravine. Like, it was such a big waste of time, but I am so glad that I wasted that time because I absolutely loved it. The locations were really cool, the weapons were really cool. It's just a shame that for the most part the actual combat itself was pretty basic, but with everything else going on, you kind of forget it's so simple half the time. Would I recommend this platinum? Absolutely yes. Anyway guys, this does bring us to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to drop a like and share this video around. Let me know your thoughts on High on Life down in the comments below, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on to stay up to date with everything I upload. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.